Hello YouTube! So it came to pass after years of renovations, a corona, a baby which is now a toddler and you're hearing in the background, career changes and generally a way too busy time. I finally returned to the wargame table during the last Sunday of October. I want to say the first Sunday of November because that's this weekend. But yeah, and I went in to play a Ninth Age tournament with, of course, my Infernal Dwarves. It was hosted by my Wargame Club. Let's put some commercial value here. The Tin Soldiers of Antwerp, TSA, in, well, of course, Antwerp. But normally, if life keeps going, I will be there much more next year, especially the year after. I'm talking in years already, I used to talk in weeks. But I must say it was not only my first ever tournament of the Ninth Age, it was actually my first game ever of the Ninth Age because, circumstances, I just didn't get around to playing some games before. So I had to draw my Warhammer experience, which as you will see in this video came back and bit me hard in the behind. But that's a story for later on in this video. So I hoped not to end in last place, even though they traditionally have also prize support for the wooden spoon or red lantern or however you want to call it. It was called red lantern this tournament. And so, well, that was a bit the basic idea. It was also the army that I've been painting for the last months. In hindsight, I need to change quite a lot about it. But that's for later on, so let's first have a look at my army list for Hammers and Swords Edition 5 at the Tin Soldier of Antwerp. So the army list, and I made some mistakes in here. In hindsight, well, not really mistakes, but I'll explain while I go along. First of all is my 370 point Overlord, who had a hand weapon with Hero's Heart and an Infernal weapon with Onyx Core, and he had the Breath of the Brass Bull. Now, in hindsight, I forgot to use the breath in the first game, okay, but I would have switched the enchantments of the weapons around, putting the Hero's Heart on the Infernal weapon instead. Well, bit of a beginner's mistake. I made a couple because I did know my army list mostly, except for this is mistake 1 of 3 in it. And we'll go. The second character I had was a Prophet of Nizgbish, and as you will see at the end of the report, I was complaining I should take an engineer for my war machines, and guess what? I actually had one with me. I forgot his Prophet skills, so yeah, Pyromancy, Scepter of Power and Obsidian Rock, pretty basic. Then I had a 580 points, 20 strong Citadel Guard unit with the Flaming Standard, and during the whole tournament, well, until the last battle, I basically forgot that they hit and shoot on 3+ instead of 4+, so oops. No wonder I was thinking, why the hell is everybody so wild about these guys? They're not better than a warrior, except that they have a rifle and they're bloody expensive. But yeah, then talking warriors, I had a 320 points, 20 Infernal Warrior unit with the Legion Standard. That one I did remember what it do. 30 vassals with spear and shield, with their master's banner, 240 points, and a 200 point 20 Levy's bow, whose job was basically to tag by hitting units for incendiary markers. Nothing special there. Big block of Kadim Incarnate, 6 pieces with a champion, 530 points. Then well, this was basically just to fill out my points. A 10 unit strong Torque and Forces with a great weapon, no command group or anything. They were a bit too fragile for my liking, just like in the old Warhammer days, basically hanging somewhere between light and heavy cavalry. But yeah, they did a bit of their job, but in the end they were the biggest disappointment of the tournament for me. And then I had a rocket battery who barely hit anything, and a mortar who at least did shoot some things during the games. My first battle went against Kai Gainen, currently ranked 24 out of 200 players. Now after the tournament he rose in standings, of course. I knew him already from the distant past, so okay, the first battle to get into the game. He had his Vampire Covenant with him, including an almost 900 points Strigoi Monstrosity Vampire, which would be a serious challenge to get back into the game. But yeah, well, you have a lot of people entering boxing contests on YouTube, video experience alone, so I guess I fall a bit in that category now. So off we went. Facing me was a fast vampire force. A lot of swift-moving ghosts, big beasties, heap of Aegis saves. Yeah, not the most happy of prospects, but I was mostly taken aback from the go in that is direwolves with their vanguard rules and everything and fast movement. Excuse me. Immediately ended up right in front of my battle line, blocking off the Kadim and the warriors. So another problem for my force was this cowboy unit, the vampire riding a terrorgeist, and whose shriek made short work of my Torok enforcers. But for some reason he needed to bring in his cavalry as well to take care of my Levi unit, who kept punching far above their weight, refusing to give ground. They took him down to 1 point. Eventually I did get that vampire, so yay, that was a heap of points, but well, it was a big pain in my side. His Spectral Cavalry charged the Citadel Guard. These managed to keep him in check and destroy the unit as the other regiments caught up near my baseline. And this in a scenario where you need to get forces to your opponent's deployment zone. Might have started a bit too far to the back, but I want to see first 1 or 2 turns how the game unfolds. Get the hang of it going by that, so yeah, maybe not the best plan. But one by one my forces were being overwhelmed, and the final point score was 2,580 points for Kai and 1,710 for me. Most came from that vampire that I took out. And that scored him a secondary objective, so it was a 4 versus 16 defeat in my part. So yeah, it was an okay start. I had worse. The second round was against Cedric, one of people of my club, with his Vermin Swarm. I soon found out that these are not Skaven. They don't run away from battles, they attack with a huge amount of rank, so who cares if all their infantry is resilience too if you just can't cause any break tests. And those fiend-like monsters he had, they were distinctly good. Supported by units of war machines in the Giselles. What the heck hit me there with their 3 wounds each? Yeah, sometimes they get a wound themselves, but well, it barely makes a dent in a unit like that. So back in the old days of Warhammer Fantasy, I wouldn't fear the Skaven one bit, as you could just grind through them for minimal losses. While this time with my units stubbornly underperforming on saves. Agreed, compared to his sometimes lucky saves. At one moment he rolled 6 saves with the bell and he scored 6 sixes, so I still didn't seem to mince through these units, while these monsters kept churning through my regiments for barely any loss, and in the end my overlord was the only valiant Chaos Dwarf standing against that horde, netting him 3,230 points versus my measly 950, as I had many more scoring units and we played Capture the Flag. So the secondary objective was also his, and I had a 119 defeat, so that was very close to being tabled. Long live the Overlord, and especially his 1 extra wound from the brass breath. So that put me on the bottom table. I was at that moment 19 out of 20 against Heike, guy I know for a long time, with his Empire of Sunstal. The Red Lantern was on the line, and that actually got some prize support. But we did decide to play for it with my personal honor at stake here. So for once my force actually did what was required of them. Starting with my Titan Mortar blew a hole in his crossbows, causing them to leg it off the table and dragging his wizard along. My until then severely underperforming enforcers smashed into his knight with a general, destroyed the whole unit and causing the general to run off the table, and by then it was only turn 2, so what the hell was going on here? The enforcers were then shot to pieces in 2 volleys of hell blasters, but yeah, on the other side my Kadim as well now, they were against a block of 30 flaglines with a priest, even though I took that priest out pretty swiftly. And in the end there was only 1 Kadim standing, but they had churned through the whole block with the volcanic embraces and the attacks and everything, so yeah, that was pretty good. His force was totally shattered. My main 3 combat units were just lingering around the central objective that needed to be controlled, gathering the turn token every time. So only the Citadel Guard, they saw some action. When a decimated knight unit, again courtesy of the mortar, together with a wounded chariot, was like the only thing that my death rocket, I think, hit in the whole tournament. And that's why I said I needed an engineer, and I forgot I actually brought an engineer. They smashed into the unit, lost 2 soldiers, and I killed both units. Not even break this, just wiped them out. So the result was that he got tabled as such, and it was 3,693 points for me against 1,150 for him. And as I also scored his secondary objective, I get an honor-saving 20-0 victory. So clocking off with 2 losses. Luckily, so in the end, I clocked off with 2 losses. Luckily, not being tabled 20-0, though the second game, as I said, came to bite me in the ass hard. Was very close to that one, and 1-20-0 tabling win actually. So was not too bad, I think, for seeing where I was at the beginning of the day with 0 experience in the game and now 3 games experience. But yeah. That last result also gave me a serious boost in the rankings, so I ended up 13th, as you can see in a moment. Well, not in a moment, a few moments ago, but 13th with 25 points. There was a maximum of 60 points to be scored, so it was a fun day. The result was completely down my line of expectations. I didn't even expect to win actually the 3rd game, and I feared I would be really struggling not to finish in the final spot, but this also meant I've entered the T3 ranking for Belgium on spot 63. It's not too shabby, it's 240 players or something currently registered on T3 for the 9th age. So yeah, great day, definitely pays for more. I'm actually thinking of organizing a few tournaments myself the coming year, or co-organize, but that's something for a later video. So all that left for me is the award ceremony, and in the end you will see the best painted army, the one of Jasper. It's Lizardman, well, Saurian Ancients like it's called in the 9th age. So thanks for watching this video, and hope to see you in the next tournament report, which will be in about a month, because in the end of November I'm joining a Games Workshop sanctioned or hosted Underworlds tournament. So yeah, we're really getting into the tournament scene again. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.
Je mag ook kiezen van de prijssupport. We hebben 2 mystery boxes gesponsord door Gorilla Painting Service. De Jelle Rombox is dat. Die vinden we al terug op Facebook. De eerste prijs vandaag gaat met 56 punten naar Merlijn. Het is een mystery box. Wat is het gewoon Walter? Van? Ik weet niet of dat extra... Ja, mystery box? In plaats van nu naar de tweede te gaan, gaan we naar de best painted gaan. En dat is deze keer geworden de Jasper.
Ja, ik heb er juist wel echt zelf mystery box gedaan. Als verder van dat is.
Ja, draag maar eens onder.
Ah, jammer, het is blauw.
Op de tweede plaats met 53 punten, Bortwin. Super. Op de derde plaats met 47 punten, de Kai. En last but not gedaan om 0 punten te scoren. Warm applaus voor de Nike.
Oh, 0.
Je kunt dit krijgen, hè?
Ik vervaar. Dankjewel.
Goed mensen allemaal, dankjewel voor het komen. We weten niet of dat de vallen nu via T3 of via 0 recruit. Dus
Super organisatie.